Hey, math people. We're a little developed into our series on the convergence of series, and we're going to be looking at two tests today, the integral test and the p-series test. Last we looked at the nth term test and the geometric series test. So two more tests. In front of us, we will find the intuition behind the integral test, compare it to improper integrals, if you remember that. Define what's known as the harmonic series, and then utilize the p-series test to handle some commonly provided series. This video is for you, Leon. What does that mean? You should use the timestamps, you should pause when you need to, and you should be patient with yourself. Let's do some math. All right, so warm up. See if you can integrate these expressions. This is the throwback to improper integrals. If you remember that, you may have to introduce a limit. See how it goes. 3, 2, 1. So for the first one, I introduced the limit. If you remember, within the process of improper integrals, I called it patched the leak within the limits of integration, because I can't plug in infinity into my antiderivative. No. What we can do is we can approach infinity, though. So I replace it with like a variable, and then I approach it via the limit. So I took that antiderivative, and then thereafter I technically have to solve like a little limit, and then I see here that this is an infinite area. Where if I do the same process for b, it's also an infinite area. The antiderivative is the log of infinity is still infinity. But then something special happens within c, I think, right? 3, 2, 1. Oh yeah, it does. We can see here that the antiderivative keeps this x down in the denominator, whereas the x graduated up to the numerator for a. It just turned into a log for b. But since it's a high enough power right here, it stays, the antiderivative stays in the denominator, and we end up getting a finite area. So what phenomena do you notice? Well, it's more or less this idea that if my power is less than or equal to 1 down in the denominator, it's not going to be like fast enough, and then that leak of that area is infinite. So in this case, I have x to the 1/2, which is less than or equal to 1. It just leaks forever. That integral area goes on for perpetuity. Whereas within C, this 2 is greater than 1, and the idea is that as x increases, that connection, it doesn't really connect, but that difference between the curve and then the x-axis is pinched tightly enough so that even though you have an infinite length, you do have a finite area, which is wild in itself. If you need more help on this, watch the improper integral video. Let's see how this connects to the series. So we know the series, sequence, and function to be 3 different mathematical phenomena. However, what we can do is the following little trick to see how they behave in the same way. Suppose I were to come up with the area underneath this curve from here to infinity, right? That is not the same thing as the infinite series, the infinite sum of each of these, like at 1, at 2, at 3 rectangles. However, they are going to sort of kind of behave the same way. And the way you can think about it is in the following way. Suppose that each of these widths are equal to 1. So then you would have like your first output, your second output, your third output, your fourth output, which would sort of more or less behave as an infinite summation, because you're just taking f1, f2, f3, f4, and make that a1, a2, a3, a4, just taking that infinite sum. So the idea is the following. If we can more or less functionify what our sequence is, and we'll just say a sub n is equal to some f of x, then we should see if that function is the following: positive, decreasing, and continuous. If it meets those 3 parameters, then we can say the series that we were originally given, and then the integral, which we're like sort of kind of comparing it to, they'll either converge together or diverge together. So that's a lot to remember. So I have an acronym for that. Isaac, please don't cry. So you can use the integral test, I, if your function, after you functionify it, the sequence is positive, decreasing, and continuous. You are expected to state these on like the AP exam if it's like on the free response portion, so that's why we made a little acronym for it. Actually, I'm not going to say I made it. It's a student of mine whose name was Isaac. I think it's cute because like I think of like Isaac Newton, but I just remember him taking his convergence test, and he's just kind of how I figured out of this acronym. He didn't tell me. He said it to himself, and I go, "What you saying there?" And he goes, "Oh well, I'm telling myself not to cry." I'm like, "Ah, okay." And then it made sense, and I'm just using it forever now. Thank you, Isaac. Okay, so here's like that like graphical connection. We can kind of sort of say that these are the same, A1 and F1, A2 and F2. So, you know, they behave similarly. Don't get confused and think, oh, okay, so what this infinite integral is equal to is also what the infinite sum is equal to. No, no, no. They just behave the same. They'll either converge to a number or diverge not to a number in the same fashion. They arrive at different results numerically. All right, so we're going to use the integral test on the following. So what you're going to do is you're more or less going to like integral functionify these expressions if it meets the parameters of, what were the parameters? Isaac, please don't cry. Positive, decreasing, and continuous, which I think they all are here. So just make that statement if you're on the AP exam. Otherwise, just take the integral of these. If you can find the integral, it's convergent. If you can't, it's divergent. Let's do A. 3, 2, 1. For A here, we can see the official explanation is going to say, well, consider this functionified expression, the integral from 1 to infinity of 1 over x squared dx. It's positive, decreasing, continuous on its interval. All right, so make the AP gods happy. If I just take the integral of 1 over x to the second from 1 to infinity, I can use the limit to kind of patch up that infinite bound. And then I do arrive at a finite value. So since 1 to infinity of 1 over x squared dx converges, we would then say that original series from 1 to infinity of 1 over n squared converges as well by the integral test. Official explanation and all. All right, see if you can do the next one. 3, 2, 1. Yeah, so you're going to see this kind of fits a similar mold. I went through the integral computation here, and I did get infinity. So since our limit of this antiderivative here is equal to infinity, the integral is equal to infinity. So then the series would equal to infinity. You see how that kind of like cascades like that? So since the integral diverges, the series also diverges by the integral test. All right, trying out the next one. 3, 2, 1. All right, you can see I just copy paste. I think I literally copy and pasted when I wrote this. Like it's the same like language every time to justify using the integral test. So it's positive, decreasing, and continuous. I found that area from 0 to infinity to be pi over 2 of that arctangent, right? That's the antiderivative. So then if I know that this integral converges, then the series must also converge. Try on the next one. 3, 2, 1. Yeah, if you try to find the integral of this, I can see it like right away. Like you will eventually gain the vision to handle these problems with like speed. You can kind of see it like right away, just like how you like read a word. You know, that you see the word decreasing. You don't have to be like, well, let's kind of figure this one out. We can identify here that, well, I have this like 1/3 power for this n. If I take that antiderivative, it's going to be up in the numerator now. And if you plug in infinity to an expression up in a numerator here, it's just going to be infinity as an answer. So this integral diverges, so the series will also diverge. All right, another one. Give it a go. 3, 2, 1. Yeah, you can do a u sub, which is nice, but it's still going to be divergent. You see, okay, well, n squared, that's pretty fast. But then you also have an n up in the numerator, kind of working against it because it's, as n increases, the numerator increases. So as a result, we get a divergent integral, so a divergent series. And then the last one here, give this one a go. 3, 2, 1. Yeah, so this is a geometric series, y'all. This is the same thing as 1 over e all to the nth power, where 1 over e is less than 1, so it's just convergent by geometric series test. However, if you apply integral test, we do get a finite number, so since the integral converges, the series converges. So just like how, like in the medical field, you might have the ultrasound, the CT scan, the X-ray, you have all these different ways of diagnosing a problem, and you can choose to take more involved tests, or what do they say, invasive, right? Or less invasive tests, it's kind of the same thing here. I would say the geometric series test is like akin to like the x-ray or something, where like the integral test, this is a bit invasive. You're really digging into it if you're taking the integral here, and that's going to be like the CT scan or something. So it was unnecessary to do a CT scan here. We could have just done an x-ray. So we are gonna move on to what's known as the harmonic series and P series, and then we'll connect them back to the integral test. Don't you worry. So here is a fan favorite, the celebrity series in the house here, people. So, you know, be mindful. The harmonic series is known to be the following. So we call it harmonic because something vibration, sounds, overtones, and fundamental frequency. I'm not a music major. If you are, let me know. So what we can do with the harmonic series is the following. If I take the infinite sum and I just expand it out, I get a half plus a third plus a fourth plus a fifth plus a sixth, so on and so forth, right? I can see the following phenomena happen. This 1 is 1. This half is half. But take 1/3 plus 1/4, that is bigger than 1/4 plus 1/4. Yes, a third is bigger than a fourth. Who would have known? With that said, this is larger than a half. And then if you have a fourth, a fifth, plus a sixth, plus a seventh, plus an eighth, this is larger than an eighth, plus an eighth, plus an eighth, plus an eighth, which is also a half. And then if you group all these together, a ninth plus a tenth plus 11, I'm not going to read it, right? It would be greater than 16th, 16th, a 16th, 16th, which if you add all those up, right, there are a total of 8 of them. 8 over 16 is a half. This is larger than a half. You can do this same grouping process forever. If you take a 17th, an 18th, a 19th, all the way up to a 32nd, and then you take 16 of those 1 over 32s, that's also a half. So that clump is also greater than a half. Why are we always comparing these two halves? Because what do we know about the series? Half plus a half plus a half plus a half plus a half. If you just add, you know, you got 2 quarters, right? 2 quarters, you throw them in the bucket. 2 quarters, 2 quarters. You just do that for literally ever. That's infinite money glitch, right? It's just straight up divergent. So therefore, the harmonic series is also divergent because it is larger than the series that is a half plus a half plus a half plus a half. So it's like I said, the celebrity series. We can call it the harmonic series. And if we see the harmonic series, we can just say it's known to be divergent. You can also just use the integral test on this. In fact, we've done the integral test on this all the way back here. It was within this B here. So if you observe, our integral is infinity. You know, the integral is positive, decreasing, and continuous. And that would make this a divergent series. Okay, well, this is just when n is equal to, this is just when p is equal to 1. Right? When we did this, what phenomena do you notice? It is really all in relation to the power. So you can see here that the power is, you know, if it's larger than 1 down in the denominator, it'll converge. And if it's less than 1 down in the denominator, it'll diverge. Well, that's what the P-series test is. If I have a series 1 over n to the pth power, it's known to converge if p is greater than 1. It's known to diverge if p is less than or equal to 1. This is straight up marrying the phenomenon that we saw in the warm-up with the integral test. Mashing them together, you get the P-series test. So you don't have to do the whole integral test if it fits the mold of a P-series. All right, so each of these fit the mold of a P-series. So just use the P-series on the following to determine if the series converges or diverges. Of course, we're going to do the official language for the first two here. So see how these go. I'm going to do A, 3, 2, 1. So for the first one, I see that P is equal to 2. I already did the integral test on this one, right? This was part C in the warm-up, and we would have saw by the integral test it converges. So in this case, we can skip that because that's too much work. We can just say, well, P is equal to 2, and that's greater than 1. So the original series here converges by P-series test. Done. For the next one, B, give it a go, 3, 2, 1. Yeah, we don't really care about that 1 over a million just sitting there. That million is like sort of kind of helping this series converge, right? Because you're dividing that denominator by such a huge number, right? Who cares? That million is nothing in the face of infinity. That's the whole idea behind infinite series, is that any number is nothing to infinity. Because infinity is a concept and not a number. You can't say it's like is 1 closer to infinity than 2 is? I mean, what does that even mean? So this diverges by p series. Let's look at C, 3, 2, 1. For this one, I rewrote our like square root of n to the third as n to the 3/2. So indeed, it is convergent because 3/2 is greater than 1. Looking at D, 3, 2, 1. Yeah, so even though that million is like kind of sort of working against the series because we're multiplying every term by a million. That's huge, right? Who cares? Because a million is nothing in the face of infinity. We have 3 as our p-value, so then it is greater than 1 and it is known to be convergent. E have to do a little bit of rewriting for, 3, 2, 1. Yeah, that's just the same thing as 1 over n to the 4th. So I get a p-value of 4, and then that would just be greater than 1, so therefore it converges. F, what'd I do to you on this one? 3, 2, 1. Yeah, you just go the other way, right? So, or in fact, you can even leave it written this way, by the way. If you were to bring it up to the numerator and write this as 5 to the n, you can say that diverges by nth term test, right? Because that limit would be infinite. But if you leave it in this fashion, that's okay. We can just say that p is -5, which is definitely less than or equal to 1. It diverges. Last two, 3, 2, 1. Yeah, so we can get n to the 1/3, so p would be equal to 1/3. That's less than 1, so that diverges. And then this last one here, 3, 2, 1. Even though that point 0, 0, 0, 0, you got so many zeros there. It's so close to 1, right? If you were to look at this series on a graph, you would be like, well, this is pretty much the same thing as 1 over n. Well, 1 over n blows up to infinity, and this one converges to a finite value. What? Math goes hard. There's got to be a point, right? Is that 1? So what tests do we know now? A little bit of a throwback to the last lecture, so see how your hippocampus is working. 3, 2, 1. So we got the nth term test and the geometric series test from my last lecture, and then the integral test and the p-series test. So there's now 4 tests. Imagine, again, you're a doctor and you're just learning all of these diagnosis tools. And it's like, yeah, well, this is the x-ray. We use this to test if a bone is broke or whatever. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a musician. I'm not a doctor. I'm just a math man. So we are just going to keep adding diagnostics tests to our mix as we go on. So what test is most appropriate for the series below? So this is like the anything goes round. You have 4 tests at your disposal. See if these series converge or diverge, and then try to utilize these tests. You are a doctor. Your patients are not going to come to you with the problem. No. Most of, I don't know about most, but a lot of the job of a doctor is to diagnose what the issue is going to be. So diagnose, see how it goes. 3, 2, 1. For the first one, it's divergent by the geometric series test. Our R value is greater than 1. Next one, 3, 2, 1. Yeah, it's divergent by p series. So it's p-value of 2/3, which is less than 1. C, give it a go. 3, 2, 1. Yeah, this one converges by integral test. You can use partial fractions on the 1 over x squared minus 1. Get x plus 1, x minus 1. It's a convergent integral to a finite value. Let's try out D, 3, 2, 1. This one's divergent by nth term. You can just take the limit of the sequence, not the series, the sequence, and you'll get 1, and that's bad. 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 does not go to a number. Let's see what E is, 3, 2, 1. We have divergent by nth term test. The numerator blows up. Infinity plus infinity plus infinity is super infinity, right? You have to write that. No, you don't. Next one, F, 3, 2, 1. We can see here that by the integral test, it is divergent. If you take the integral of this, you would have to use a u substitution. And then after that u substitution, you'll see that it is a divergent integral, so therefore a divergent series. Try out G, 3, 2, 1. You can just bring that 3 down to the denominator and make that n positive. So this is 1/3 to the n, and that is convergent by geometric series test. Last one, 3, 2, 1. And this one is also convergent. You can rewrite that as 1 over n to the third. P is then equal to 3. That's greater than 1. It's convergent. That's it for now. Math on.